What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Overtime with RDL. My guest tonight is Lincoln Prep two-way star Trey Spann. Trey is not only a great basketball player, he's also a great football player. I've had the chance to cover him over the past 3 seasons. Now in his senior year at Lincoln Prep and is already having a pretty good football season. We're recording this in the end of September, and the Panthers are about to start district play here in a couple of days, and then after that he'll be transitioning to try and get the Panthers back to the state tournament once again on the basketball court. So Trey, just thanks for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem, sir. No problem.
Really. Again, like I mentioned, for those that maybe haven't seen you play or just see you perform yet, here's just a quick overview of Trey's football season so far. Again, we're recording this only 3 games into the season, but already very impressive. He's got 10 catches for 245 yards and a touchdown, and then on defense, because again, Trey at Lincoln Prep at the 1A level, a lot of players are playing both ways. He also has 13 tackles, 2 interceptions, one of those for a pick six, and he also has 2 pass breakups. And then just for those that maybe haven't seen him play basketball, obviously last year he was a first team All State selection. He averaged 19 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. He also shot 40% from three in back to back seasons. So just an all around really great athlete and a really great player. So Trey, we start every episode by just having the guests that come on this podcast kind of like describe their journey, like describe how they got involved in the sports that they play. I guess for you, like again, you play football and basketball, but I guess just walk me through like how did you get involved in those sports? Like what kind of led you to want to play those?
And basketball is a family tradition, so it's just came with the way of living. I grew up playing the game, and that's just how it came. Basketball, because nobody in my family or ever played football. So basically, I was just because I'm a good athlete, as you said. They just recruited me to come play football, and I decided to give it a shot my freshman year. And I realized I wasn't too bad, so that's how we came here.
Again, like what's that like transition like for you? Again, like I know a lot of kids these days, regardless of level that they're playing at, a lot of kids like to specialize and like play maybe just one sport and just kind of focus all their time on that. Like, what kind of led you to want to continue to play both? And obviously at the high school career, like that's a lot of time that you're spending like just in practice and just preparing for 2 different seasons. Like, I guess like what led you to want to make that decision of like, hey, I do want to play both of these, at the high school level.
The reason why I chose to be a dual sport player, dual sport athlete, is because when I realized I was actually a good athlete, I realized I could really go far with this sport, with both sports.
Is there anything in particular, I guess, maybe about football? We'll get into basketball later, but we're kind of in the heart of football right now. Like, is there anything about football in particular that you really like about the sport? And just obviously, again, I know you're playing defensive back and receiver. Like, just kind of being able to see the field like on both sides. Like, what about football? I guess kind of speaks to you.
Catching the ball, catching the ball.
Yeah, I love that. Again, like I mentioned, Trey again plays defensive back and wide receiver, so he definitely makes a lot of plays whenever you go out to see Lincoln Prep play. And again, we're recording this before they start district play, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities to come see him play, not only at home, but again at Cedar Creek, Jonesboro Hodge, Haynesville, a lot of local games as well. So we're gonna take a quick ad break, and then we'll come back to this interview. This portion of Overtime with RDL is sponsored by Smith Law Offices. Mike Smith is a 3-time Best of Lincoln Parish Award winner for Best Public Servant and Best Attorney. Smith Law Offices is the premier personal injury law firm in Ruston. Visit Smith Law Offices located at 301 South Bonner Street in Ruston for the expert legal representation you need for your personal injury case. Back here with Trey. Trey, like again, when we, again, explain the journey. That's kind of the segment that we're in. I always like to ask athletes, regardless of what sport they play, like what motivates you? Like who do you play for? I know like a lot of kids, they probably say their parents or their family, or sometimes it's their school. Like I guess for you, like individually, rather regardless of basketball or football, like what motivates you? What drives you to be better?
the sacrifices my parents have made for me to get to where I am right now. And secondly, I would say my grandmother. She's in heaven right now, rest in peace. I just want to honor her.
How do you I guess like kind of make sure that you do that like again like obviously a lot of people know your family's name and I've obviously seen you play at Lincoln Prep for a number of years now like I guess like how much pride do you take in that like just of kind of keeping your family's legacy alive like what does that mean to you, what does that look like?
It just it's just a thing in the back of my head that just makes me to want to keep going and not to give up. Or like if I have a bad game or a bad drive, like forget it. Just move on to the next play. Let's play better, be better. You can't be a bad player. You're not a bad player. Just move on to the next thing and do what you're good at.
Yeah, talking to Coach Davison and obviously Coach Hudson for basketball as well. Like the one thing they've said over the years that they really appreciate about you is just you're very consistent. Regardless of production as well, but just as far as like your like you said your attitude that you take on and off the court, on and off the field. Like I guess like how do you describe like your leadership style as far as like I guess kind of like being that consistent player that like your coaches can respect. Like, are you someone that is maybe a little bit more vocal, or like do you kind of feel like you just kind of want to lead your teammates like by example? How do you kind of like see your like leadership style?
Most definitely, I would describe my leadership by example. I'm not really a vocal type of player, a vocal person. So I would definitely lead by example. I would try my hardest every practice, give my all every practice, and they fall in line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes, like you said, sometimes people just got to see like how the leaders do it, and then it kind of it's easy to fall in after that for sure. Um,
Yes, sir.
when it comes to basketball, again, like we're recording this in the middle of football season, but obviously Lincoln Prep basketball, people know what the history of that program is, and you guys have obviously had a lot of great success. I guess like coming from a great program at Lincoln Prep, like how do you maintain that standard year after year? Obviously, you guys have over the years graduated some really good players, but you've obviously kept some really good guys, and have kind of a lot of young guys continue to come into that program. Like how do you keep like that standard going year after year on the basketball court?
Everyone knows the expectations of Coach Antonio Hudson. Everybody knows the expectations, and everybody is willing to give those expectations. So that's why every year after year, we're making it to state, having a winning record because we're buying into his program.
Yeah, I like I mentioned before, you're obviously a really good shooter, especially from 3 point range. I guess like what does your routine look like? Like how do you kind of practice that in the off season? Like I think it's really easy for people to just come to a games and be like, yeah, that kid's a really good shooter, but they obviously don't see the work that goes in behind the scenes. Like how much time do you spend on your shot? Like what does that kind of look like for you in the off season?
In the off season, 500 made threes a day, 500 made mid ranges a day, 500 floaters a day at all times. Even during football season, you still got to get shot tips. So I won't be rusty when I come back. And during the season, it's the same thing, even more.
Yeah, I love that. That's like you said, if you want to be great, it definitely takes a lot of sacrifice for sure.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna take another quick ad break, and then we'll come back to this interview. This portion of Overtime with RDL is sponsored by Southern Classic Chicken, proudly sponsoring local athletes. Southern Classic Chicken is the winner of the 2024 and 2025 Best of Lincoln Parish Award for Best Chicken. Located at 1010 East Georgia Avenue in Ruston, serving the best, most delicious fried chicken and sides in Louisiana for more than 35 years. With chicken so good, it's Ron. Southern Classic Chicken. Back here with Trey. This is one of my favorite, parts of the podcast. We like to do some icebreakers and kind of, get to know the athletes, maybe outside the field of play and just, outside of like the production that you do. I always kind of like to find out more about the athletes and just kind of what they like to do. So, I was doing some research and I always like to look at my guests like social media presence. And I saw on your Instagram you got a quote from Kobe in your bio. Like I'm curious, like what does Kobe mean to you, and like how do you kind of take like his mentality, the way that you play, I guess.
Kobe meant a lot to me because the way that he approached the game, his mentality to the game was just different from everybody that has ever touched the game. Like I say a lot when I say this a lot to a lot of people when Kobe Bryant lost the championship, he approached the game even more different than what he did regularly because he he didn't want Kobe didn't like losing, and even when he was winning, he kept approaching the game the same way. He worked every day, worked every night, 3 a.m.s, 4 a.m.s, 12 a.m.s at night, 2 hours of sleep. That's why Kobe meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like with that mentality, like again, Lincoln Prep has obviously gone to the state tournament for the past 4 years, but you guys have just obviously come up a little bit short of, obviously winning that title. Like, is that kind of the mentality that you and your teammates are kind of taking this year of like, man, like we've got all the pieces. It's time for us to like, finish the job this time.
Well, definitely, yes, sir.
Absolutely, I love that. Yeah, again, like you play two sports, but I'm just curious, like who would you kind of consider like is maybe like the GOAT at like your position, or maybe just like the sport that you play? Like again, and obviously you're in football, you're playing receiver and defensive back, and obviously at Lincoln Prep, you're playing shooting guard. Like what's kind of something that I guess like positionally, like do you have like kind of someone that you consider to be like the all time great at those positions, or someone that you kind of like to model your game after? I guess.
That's a good question. Basketball, Kobe for sure. Football, wide receiver, I would say Randy Moss. Randy Moss or Calvin Johnson. I just loved the way he was a deep threat. He was a physical position receiver. And cornerback, I like to model my game after Pat Surtain. He's a great corner. I watch a lot of his highlights. I was watching a lot of his film.
Do you have like kind of a, again, we're obviously in Louisiana, but like I know some people they kind of follow the Cowboys, the Saints, or they just kind of have like a whoever they root for. Like do you have an NFL team that you watch and root for, or
My favorite NFL player right now, I'll say, would be Keon Coleman. So I go for the Bills a lot.
yeah, he's definitely an interesting personality for sure. Again, like obviously,
Yes, sir.
either in Grambling or Ruston, whether it be like after a game or just like on the weekend with friends, like what are some of like your go-to kind of like food spots? What are some of your favorite places to go in Lincoln Parish, to grab a good meal or just like hang out with friends?
Hang out with friends. I would go to Eskimos, a good ice cream spot, chill spot after a game, or just a spot to chill. Yeah.
Anywhere in particular, I guess like you like to eat or anywhere in Grambling or Ruston?
The local food spot, J&J's Express.
What's the move there? What do you usually get there?
8-piece wing, extra
Extra
fries.
fries. Oh yeah, I'm definitely with you on the fries for sure. Are you someone that like regardless of basketball or football, like are you someone that kind of likes to do like pregame music? Like are you listening like while you're warming up or like doing stuff like that? Or you just kind of like to just be present on the field? Like how do you kind of approach that?
I'm most definitely a pregame music guy.
Who are some of the artists that you like to listen to?
Young boy. He's the GOAT. He's a young boy.
I love
Uh,
that.
Other artists I listen to will be probably local artists from Ruston or Grambling.
Is there anyone in particular that you like to listen to from this area?
Uh, Action J Dub, Backstreet 5. There's a lot more. I can't just say it off the top of my name.
Yeah, no, it's always cool, like seeing, obviously local artists and, kind of seeing how they first start out, and then you can kind of say like, hey, I kind of caught the wave before everyone else did for sure. Um,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Again, like, what would you say is, and again, this doesn't even have to do with sports, but like, what would you say is kind of like your biggest pet peeve? Like, what's something that like, people do at school or just like in your day to day life that you're just like, man, that just like that really annoys me. I don't know why people do that. Like, is there anything that like kind of comes to mind with that or?
I have two things. I just hate loud noises when people are being too loud. I like quietness, silence. And second, I really don't want to repeat. Like they'll they'll say it once and then they'll keep saying it. Like a run-on sentence. Like I understand what you're saying already. I don't really like when people just keep repeating themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can be hard sometimes with my job for sure. Of you want to ask a question and then sometimes it's like I don't know how to phrase this, and so it's like let's just sometimes like ask it 45 different times. So yeah, I feel that.
Yes, sir.
If you woke up tomorrow and you won the lottery, like you won like $10 million, like what's the first thing that you're gonna do?
Tell my parents.
That's the first like
Definitely get a
responsible
house.
answer we've gotten. I love that. I love that.
Definitely get a house for sure.
Anything like any like kind of splurge purchase that you like to buy, like anything kind of fancy or anything?
A Hellcat.
Nice.
Hellcat, all black, all black.
I don't know if Rustin's got the streets available to go driving that everywhere, but yeah, you could probably get that on some.
Yes, sir.
Last one for you here in this section. Again, I'm always just curious, like, again, you're playing basketball and football. You got a lot of different teammates, a lot of people that are obviously trying to make a name for themselves. Like, who would you say maybe basketball or football, like, is kind of like a slept-on teammate of yours? Like, I know, again, like a lot of people know your name, and obviously, Zion. There's a lot of guys like that already have like a lot of people like kind of paying attention to them. Like, who would you say is kind of someone that like by the time football or basketball season ends, like people are definitely gonna like know like, oh yeah, that dude is a stud for sure.
For football, I would say sophomore Jabari Livingston. Definitely a slept on player for sure because he can play running back and both ways, running back, wide receiver, and corner, and also strong safety. So yeah, I feel like at the end of the season they'll be seeing a lot of him. Basketball, I would say my little brother, Josiah Spann. He's been in the gym a lot lately, even during football season. So I would say he's the most slept on player right now, and he's going to shock a lot of people this year.
Yeah, I love that. We'll take one last ad break and then we'll come back to this interview. This portion of Overtime with RDL is sponsored by Rustin Glass. Rustin Glass is a 3-time Best of Lincoln Parish Award winner, committed to providing the highest quality of repair, replacement, and installation services. Give them a call or visit them at 512 East Georgia Avenue. From repairing cracked glass to installing commercial storefront, Rustin Glass is prepared to assist you with any needs in the glass industry. Back here with Trey for this final segment. Like you mentioned, there's just a lot of expectations at Lincoln Prep Athletics. Football and basketball. And again, as a leader on both of those teams, how do you kind of keep guys focused and like make sure that the ups and downs of the season like don't get to you guys, and you make sure like you guys are sticking together. Like as a leader, how do you kind of manage expectations? I guess.
Even after bad games, I would make sure to try to cheer us up. I'll keep a smile on my face, not get down. I'll just try to make sure the team knows that even I, like even me, the leader on the team, is gonna keep his head up after a bad game.
How long did it take you to kind of get that mentality? Because I know, again, for a lot of kids that are, young and like are just starting off high school, like it could be really easy to, really feel the emotions like of every win and loss, and like it's kind of hard to keep that balance. Like, how long did it take you to kind of get to that point?
I would say I probably just got it during this year football season. I had a bad game, not a bad game, bad first half versus Magnolia this year, and my a coach told me, Coach Dominique Hill, he told me coaches don't like bad body language. Even in basketball, coaches wouldn't like bad body language. So now I just keep a good body language. Quarterback throw a bad pass, I miss a tackle, I just keep my head up and focus on the next play. And also cheering my teammates on, making sure they stay right. Just like I said, quarterback throw a bad pass, I lift his head up, tell him it's good. Just make a better pass next time. Focus on the next play.
How do you go about building team chemistry? Like again, a lot of times, like players like they think like, oh, we'll just we'll build that chemistry on the field, but I feel like the most successful teams, like you're building those friendships and that connection like off the field. How do you as a leader, like how do you kind of go about doing that?
There's probably not a specific way I go about it, but a lot of the players play video games and we play video games together. So, that kind of builds our bond a little bit there.
Is there like a team video game that you guys like to play?
Probably NBA 2K26 or Call of Duty Warzone.
Okay, nice, nice. I don't even know. Like this is gonna make me sound super old, even though I'm 25. But like, do people still play Fortnite? I don't know. I feel like that was something I heard like a lot in college and high school. Like, is that something people still play?
People still play it, but it's probably not as popular as it used to be.
And is what's that other game? It's Marvel Rivals. So people still playing that?
Most definitely,
Yeah,
yeah,
most
most
definitely.
definitely.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
have
have
it,
it, but
but I be hearing it around the school, hearing it talk about it.
yeah. Again, like that's gonna make me sound like old, but I don't really play like video games like that. But I just kind of like see people like talking about those things. But um, again, like last one for you would just be what would be your message to Lincoln Prep fans and maybe just people that are fans of sports in Lincoln Parish that haven't had a chance to watch Lincoln Prep play either basketball or football. Like, what would be kind of your message to them to maybe get them to come out to games this year?
This year is going to be very different. No matter how hard the last year's was, we're going to be different. We're going to come back with the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I mentioned, I mean, I've obviously covered you guys for the past couple seasons, and seeing how close you guys have been. So it would be pretty cool to see you guys finish the job this year for sure.
Yes, sir.
Well, Trey, I appreciate you taking some time, and yeah, looking forward to the rest of this football season and seeing how basketball season turns out, man. I really appreciate you taking some time tonight.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you for having me.